Mexico enters this match with the sound of home behind it, and that sound can feel like power before the ball even moves. But home does not always protect a team. Sometimes it lowers itself onto the pitch until every quiet minute begins to feel like something Mexico must explain. South Korea will understand that from the first whistle. They do not need to answer the crowd with more noise. Making the stadium doubt its own comfort would hurt Mexico far more. Mexico will want the night to feel controlled early, loud in the stands but calm on the pitch, as if the atmosphere can carry them forward without becoming heavy. South Korea brings a different danger. Their speed can arrive suddenly, almost without warning, and one open lane can make the whole stadium breathe differently. Mexico cannot let the home crowd convince them the game already belongs to them. A safe beginning can become a trap if patience starts turning into expectation. The first warning may be quiet, but the pressure around Mexico will hear it before the players fully admit what has changed. That is where home starts feeling close enough to touch. The danger for Mexico is that South Korea can make the match feel faster than the crowd expects. Mexico may try to settle the night into its own pulse, letting the ball pass through the center until the stadium begins to breathe with it. South Korea will look for the seconds when that rhythm becomes too comfortable. A loose touch near the center can become a signal. The next sprint may already be starting before Mexico understands what has opened. That is the kind of threat South Korea carries. It does not always need long possession. It can live inside a broken moment, where the favorite at home is still thinking about control while the opponent is already running. Mexico must protect the spaces behind their confidence. If they push forward with too much belief, the pitch can suddenly stretch in the wrong direction. The crowd may begin as a wall behind them, but if South Korea finds open grass, that same noise can change shape. Home pressure does not disappear. It only waits for the first mistake to become louder, and the louder it gets, the less simple the next pass feels. Mexico's best route is to make the home energy useful without letting it become hunger. The first attacks will matter because the crowd will react to every movement as if the night is ready to open. That can lift a team, but it can also rush one. From distance, a shot can feel brave until the silence after it makes the choice look wasteful. If the next delivery comes too early, South Korea gets the breath Mexico did not mean to give away. Mexico will need sharp choices, not just emotion. South Korea will try to survive the first wave and let that energy turn back toward the host. If the opening pressure does not bring a goal, the stadium may begin listening differently. That is where the match becomes psychological. Mexico may keep possession with all those voices around it, yet the feeling around each attack can become heavier. South Korea can take strength from that shift. They know that if the host starts forcing the door, the trap begins to build itself. The longer the score stays close, the less comfortable home begins to feel. The noise stays high, yet the space inside it becomes tighter. South Korea can hurt Mexico most when the host believes the attack is safe. That is where speed becomes dangerous. Mexico may have numbers forward, the ball near the wing, and the crowd rising because the moment looks promising. Then one interception changes the entire direction of the pitch. South Korea does not need the counterattack to be perfect. They only need it to make Mexico run back toward their own goal with the stadium suddenly unsure of its voice. The first backward sprint can leave a mark even if the chance disappears. Mexico's next attack may not look different from far away, but a defender begins holding something back and the midfield turns with a quicker glance over its shoulder. Small details can change the confidence of a host. South Korea will look for those details. They will try to make Mexico feel that every attack has a price attached to it. When the crowd begins to sense that price, the match no longer feels like a celebration. It starts feeling like a test, and Mexico has to pass it while the noise keeps pressing closer, louder than comfort. The emotional pressure belongs mostly to Mexico because the night expects them to play like a host, not just a team. That expectation can become dangerous if the match refuses to open. South Korea can defend for long spells and still feel useful, especially if every survived minute makes Mexico carry more weight. The home crowd can lift a player into a run, but it can also make a missed pass feel bigger than it should. Mexico must avoid arguing with the atmosphere. They cannot chase applause with every decision. South Korea will try to make the game narrow enough for frustration to enter quietly. The ball may continue moving through Mexico's feet, but control is not always the same as comfort. A home team can look dominant from far away while doubt is already sitting beside the next touch. South Korea will wait for that doubt to show itself. It may come through a pass struck before the idea has settled, or through the hush that follows a chance fading into nothing. That silence can make the stadium feel closer than before, almost as if the crowd has stepped onto the pitch with them. Group A gives this match a sharper edge. Mexico knows a strong result can keep the room around them calm and make the path feel cleaner. South Korea knows that disturbing the host would change the whole temperature of the group. One night can become more than its own result here. It decides who walks forward with control and who drags pressure into the next match. Mexico cannot treat the table as something that can be fixed later. In a World Cup group, pressure starts early and grows faster than teams expect. South Korea will try to make every minute they survive feel like a message. If the host looks reachable, the rest of the group will notice. For Mexico, the match has to prove that the noise around them still means command. South Korea only needs to make that belief shake a little, and suddenly the group begins to feel less stable. That is why the middle of the game matters so much. If the score stays close, every duel begins to feel attached to the table. The group can start burning before anyone says it out loud. One uneasy spell can make the next match feel heavier before it even exists. That is how the table begins to breathe on the host. There is also a tactical patience South Korea can bring that Mexico must respect. Their compact shape can look passive at first, almost like it is giving Mexico permission to step higher, until the space behind the host begins to show. Mexico will want to keep the tempo high enough to satisfy the crowd, but too much speed can make the game loose. That is where South Korea becomes dangerous. They can turn a loose match into a race, and a race is not always what the home side wants. Mexico needs rhythm with control inside it. If they become too emotional, the match may open in ways that help South Korea more than them. Force the ball into a crowded lane, and a transition can begin before Mexico has time to repair its shape. The fullback who climbs at the wrong second may only notice the empty grass after the danger is already alive. Mexico must close those doors before the crowd feels them. The host has to play with fire without letting the whole night catch. That balance may decide whether home becomes strength or trap. South Korea will keep waiting for the moment that balance begins to tilt under pressure. The late stages can become uncomfortable if Mexico has not found separation. The crowd may still be loud, but the sound changes when time begins to narrow. Every attack starts to feel like it has to be the one that solves the night. South Korea can grow in that pressure because the longer they stay close, the more belief becomes visible. A defender clearing the ball calmly can make the back line stand taller. Somewhere ahead, a runner begins to believe the next counterattack might be the one that changes everything. Mexico must be careful there. Late urgency can make simple choices feel heavier. When a shot is rushed, South Korea receives the oxygen it needed. Lose the ball near midfield after that, and hope can turn into fear before the crowd understands why. The stadium that once pushed Mexico forward may start asking questions. That is the danger of home pressure. It does not leave when the match gets hard. It becomes part of the opponent's weapon if the host lets nerves enter the ball. The closer the ending gets, the more every touch sounds like an answer. So Mexico enters with the noise of home, but South Korea brings a speed that does not need permission to become dangerous. That is what makes this match feel unsafe. Mexico can win it if they turn the crowd into control before pressure begins to bite. But if the night stays close, South Korea will begin living inside every loose touch Mexico leaves behind. Home has to feel like power for Mexico, not a weight slowly pressing into the shirt. For South Korea, the match can change through a single open lane before the stadium realizes its voice has started to shake. At the World Cup, a crowd can lift a team into the match, but it cannot defend the space left behind a careless attack. Mexico will have to earn calm in a game designed to test it. The longer South Korea remains alive, the heavier every Mexican pass becomes. That is how home becomes a trap without anyone noticing the door closing. By then, even the loudest chant can start sounding like a warning from inside the trap. The scoreboard may begin at 0, but the pressure is already leaning toward the host. And if Mexico blinks, South Korea will not need permission to turn the noise against them.